Welcome back to Rooted in the Caribbean, our Women in Leadership series. Today, my guest is Tracy Awai. I've known Tracy for many, many years. We're both in the human resources profession. And Tracy is currently the Director of HR at Hyatt International in Trinidad and has been, I think, for the last 4 years. I'm really, really happy to welcome her and to just have you explore Tracy's journey. We met while we both worked in the Massey Group many years ago. She has such in-depth knowledge and experience of employee relations, and I am thrilled to have her today because I know how much she's encouraged many, many, many young women, older women with her journey. So, welcome, Tracy. Hello, and welcome back to Rooted in the Caribbean, our Women in Leadership series. And today, my guest is the amazing Tracy Awai. I have known Tracy since I think it was
Wow.
about 2012 that we
Yes.
met for the first time.
Yes.
Um,
hmm
when Tracy came to be interviewed for the Massey Group position at
hmm
Massey Motors, and we have been friends ever since.
Yes.
So, Tracy, welcome, and thank you for taking the time on a public holiday to spend with me.
Yes. My pleasure, Dominique. My pleasure.
So, my thank you, and my first question is just to delve into who's Tracy. What are your roots? Do your family all originate from Trinidad? Do they come from other parts of the world, the Caribbean? Share with us your roots.
Interestingly, I think from my roots perspective in Trinidad, I'm one of those that we would call a complete callaloo.
Mm-hmm.
So if people know the term callaloo and what the dish is, it means mix up. Um, at the base and at the heart, actually, my grandmother, I guess great grandmother as well, and further back, were the native people of Trinidad and Tobago. So she was a Carib. There's also the
Right.
Arawaks, but she
Yeah.
was the Carib. And if you know in West Indian history that is taught in some of the books in primary school, they will say that the Caribs are the more fierce ones, right? So
Hmm. The
Granny was,
indigenous.
yes, our indigenous people. So I do have that at the base and at the heart. So I am
Yeah.
indeed very much a Trini. And then on top of that came all of the other roots. So African slavery,
Yeah.
European, Indian, Portuguese,
Wow.
Asian. So I joke about I don't think there's anything that I don't have. I'm sure I don't, but there's a lot in there.
Yeah.
And of course that brings the history, it brings the traditions from different aspects, which fits
Walks of
really
life.
really, yeah, which fits really well with being a Trini. So I consider myself very much a Trinidadian and very much a Caribbean person.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, slavery, of course, wasn't the ideal thing, of
Pleasant.
course, but
Yeah.
it brought us here. We're here now. And
True.
those rich traditions have, I guess, just stayed with me. And I really do appreciate having that uniqueness that I
Yeah.
could embrace and understand all and not feel as if I have to be part of only one thing. So
Right.
in me, and this is interesting because I really never thought about it, but in me is everything, and I think that is a part of I wouldn't say success, but a part of the way I look at life, where um, let's just all be, let's just all
Yeah.
be, and enjoy each other's differences and enjoy what that brings. Like even in the Caribbean, loving each other's cultures, the roots of our food. We may cook the same things, but we cook them differently, and it's just
Yeah.
so amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you think that diversity that is Tracy has translated into the type of leader that you are.
I think because I can't say that I don't see a person's makeup or their race, or you see it because in the Caribbean we're so many different things. But I think I appreciate and I like the diversity. I like that
Yeah,
I can sit and understand something else, and that person or that experience can bring something different to the team, to what we're trying to do. It's exciting to me to hear when people talk about their difference, where they come from, and different experiences. I like it. It gets me excited in terms of being able to say, okay, well, um, what does that bring? What does that bring to the team? And could we add this or could we do that? So I think the diversity has helped me to be open to um, different approaches,
right,
different thought patterns, and that is fun, and that it can bring a lot to the table. I
right.
think being open as well. Um, people, some people tell me that I'm warm and I'm open to them. Um, of course, in an HR, there's also the no nonsense part side of me that does exist. Um,
Yes, I know that side well.
but generally, I am friendly. I want to find out about you in terms of anything that's interesting about where you came from, or what you do, or
Yeah.
how you see life. Yeah.
And why for you as a woman in leadership? I mean, you have been um, leading not just HR teams, but you know, supporting leading organizations, sitting on executive teams for many, many, many years. What does it mean for you to be a beacon as a woman in leadership?
It means a lot. Um, Inner strength, strength
Mm,
of purpose, that normally comes through from me. I think I stand in that place. Um, and as a woman, I of course feel that I sit at the table and there's really no difference between me and anybody else from a
yeah,
perspective of giving, of sharing, of leading the organization. um, as a woman, though, of course, coming through the ranks, where sometimes men are, I guess, listened to more depending on what
the
industry you're
sector.
in, the
Yeah,
sector, the HR, the view of HR as the soft stuff, only dealing with the people. I think that I've tried to carve a space of that's not all that one I am about, and that's not all HR is about as well.
yeah,
So I took the journey from I'm here to understand and learn the business, and also to understand the place that people play in the business, supporting people, developing people, bringing that all together and standing firm in I'm here. I know what I'm doing.
hmm,
I understand everything, and we can balance the human side of things with what we need to do. We can understand people if we stop, we listen. We can adjust. We can come back. We can try again.
yeah,
It's just about that willingness to stand, for me to stand firm in that.
yeah,
Um, and be able to do it. So genuinely, I've always just been able to stand firm in who I am,
mm,
um, and that has grown significantly. I mean, I've always been a
over the
strong personality, but I think that has grown over the past 10 years,
right,
um, since Massey and to now, being able to say, well, no, I absolutely have an opinion that matters, and it is rooted in that I can understand various points of view. It is rooted in the fact that I am a woman and I see things and I perceive things maybe differently to men, um,
hmm,
and I stand with that, and that's
yeah,
how I've been going. I think more so for the past 2.5 to 3 years. I've really,
Right.
I think, found that.
And I know from seeing what you've done for other women that you are a huge advocate for women's development and their growth and just them finding what their niche is, what their purpose is. What's driven that desire?
Um, I not I can't tell you that I've sat and I appreciate this conversation because I haven't sat and tried to think about what brings that. I think
Yeah.
from a on the spot I would say because I stand in that it can be done for me.
Hmm.
You could do it too, and that's my view. You could do it too, and sometimes I see women hold back a bit for various reasons, um, and I'm like, okay, but what's stopping you? And I have
Right.
that conversation. I think that's the conversation that I can have. I ask, what's stopping you? What's the challenge? How can we move around that challenge? Just supporting that they can do it. Have that
Mm.
conversation. I've been told that I ask the right questions.
Right.
So sometimes I ask some questions that are really pointed, and then the
Hmm.
person sits back and says, "Oh boy, yeah."
Let me think about this.
Yeah, and those are the great questions because those are the questions I like. I've
Yeah.
had some women in my life, like you as well. I mean, who've been able
Thank
to
you,
say
Trace.
to me, Tracy, but okay, so what are you really thinking? What are you really saying? What do you really want? And I have to sit back and those are the best because the answers that you get from those are the real ones. They're the ones that push you forward.
Yeah.
So I think more than anything, I've been able to develop that over the years, where
and
I
and
can,
almost pay it forward.
yes, yes, yes. I've had women that have asked me really great questions, that has allowed me to stand and become who I am.
Yeah.
And I ask those questions. I ask, what do you really want to do? And at the end of the day, I have a favorite question. If you close your eyes and see yourself in 5 years, what would you look like? Um,
Right.
so people are then forced to visualize what they want
Yeah.
to be in 5 years. I don't ask, what do you want to do? I
Right.
it's a
What do you
deeper
want to be?
question. Yeah, what do you look like
Hmm.
in 5 years? It's a visual thing. You need to close your eyes and see. So I think
That's
I've asked.
interesting. I should probably try that.
Well, if you ask me that, I'll tell you 10 pounds later, right? But
Well, I'll join you on that one.
so yeah, I think powerful questions,
Yeah.
questions that come from not necessarily what people think, but if I'm in a conversation and I'm hearing someone saying something that is different to the body language that I'm seeing in front of me, I
Yeah.
can sense they're holding back. I can sense that they're not quite putting the thought to it. I am able to do that. And that was a powerful tool for me, and it remains so.
Right.
And I love women as well as men, people who can ask me powerful questions, um
Questions.
because it makes me really think, and it makes me reset sometimes in terms of where I
Hmm.
want to go.
Did you always want to be an HR professional? Like, was that your goal, your dream?
um Initially, I think growing up in the Caribbean household, you either be a lawyer, doctor, accountants
Hmm.
were acceptable as well. Although never really pushed into a particular career,
Yeah.
I think I went down the lawyer route for a while because I can speak. I felt that, and of course, I love to argue, so I love to talk back and give my opinion and that kind of thing. So I thought,
Right.
okay, a lawyer might be it for me. But something changed. I can't tell you where, I can't tell you when. I decided to choose management. But I always felt that management alone wasn't it for me. It's not just about numbers and figures and that kind of thing. So I did sociology and management together and branched off into HR. And yeah, so very early when I decided my career, I knew it was HR, but it was second to lawyer at that
Okay.
time. So
Right. And I think the thing that people may not know about you is that from an employee relations perspective, you're a real warrior. So I know you're a huge advocate. So I never knew that about you,
yeah,
that the legal route was one of the things that you considered. And I can
yeah,
see that because you've translated that into what you bring in terms of supporting employees and moving organizations forward. Like now it makes sense. Makes
ah,
sense.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What?
I think I have a fairness. People tell me that I'm fair in
Yeah.
terms of being able to see two sides.
I see
So
fear and fearless as well. I see them. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So there's a little bit of wisdom sometimes, and one of the questions that you started with is, does my Caribbean roots, how does that play into what I do and how I am? And I think I always
Yeah.
think back to my grandmother, on my maternal grandmother's side, the language and the sayings and the wisdom that
Mm.
came from her that I did not as a child understand, um really
Now you
impact
can
me
look back.
now. Yeah, yeah, I find myself saying those things, giving the little quips that your grandmother used to tell you to warn you.
Yeah.
I find that coming through now, and it is able to touch people because it's who we are in the Caribbean. So when we
Hmm.
speak, okay, fine, great, we speak well, and we're in a business environment, but sometimes when you have to say something to get it through, you need to use the true language of the
Yeah.
Caribbean, of Trinidad. So
That
yeah,
is so true.
yeah,
I mean, even people that I work with now will always tell you, like, so when I'm focused on bringing people on a journey with me, I would talk about the fact, that old adage, you can capture more flies with honey than
yeah,
with vinegar.
yeah,
Because that's the truth, you
yep.
you want to win hearts and minds, not just kind of grab people by the scruff of their neck. So
Correct,
I
correct,
can
correct.
you can relate.
It's about being real, and people can understand that you're human as well. So you might be the HR director or the VP of this, but you are real, and in helping them understand or translating something for them, you need to be able to use or speak to reach people. And I
Yeah,
think stories reach people. So you would always hear me say, my grandmother used to say X.
right.
Yeah, and that would be the jumping point often for a lot more conversation. So
Conversation.
yeah.
And I was gonna ask, so you talked about visualizing if you close your eyes in 5 years time. The question I was gonna ask you was because I know you have a son and a daughter, but for your daughter going into, you know, the leadership in environment in the working world, what do you visualize for her in years to come? What do you want for her?
Um, See, that's a good question.
So if you close your eyes and
If I
then
close my eyes, I want to see her remain strong. She's internally a really strong young lady. Um, has not yet, I guess, learned some of the wisdom because she's young, but
Mhm.
she's strong, and she has a very, like, I guess maybe like myself, she has a clear sense of when she's thinking about something, this is what she's thinking. And I want
Yeah,
to see that translate into, of course, something that she's happy to do, to be an expert in her field. I think that brings her a lot of feelings of accomplishment when she's, I'm the expert here, I know what I'm talking about,
yeah,
and be able to contribute, in whatever field. She hasn't quite decided as yet, but I
yeah.
think definitely she stands in who she is. I think I
Got
want
you.
her to stand in her purpose.
Right.
So I think she knows who she is. I don't think she knows what she wants to apply that to as yet.
Got you.
So that's in 5 years. If I close my eyes, I want her to stand in her purpose. I want her to be happy at the end of the day as
Yeah.
well.
ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your confidence, it's one of the things that I admire about you. Like as I said, I see fear, Fair, but also fearless. What do you think has given you that sense of confidence that, you when you walk into a room, you command attention. Like there's no question about whether Tracy's in the room or not. And that's not because you're loud or because it's just that you have a very commanding presence, and you people sit up.
Yeah.
So what do you think led to that? And it might be, growing up with your grandmother, but there's just something like almost intangible. I can't put it into words, but people who know you will know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah. What created that? Ooh, I mean, a mishmash of life. So when I was young, had some challenges at home. So I was always quite aware that I needed to find a way for myself. So
Right.
that was there for from a very young age. Although had a wider support system. So granny,
Mhm.
was always there and that kind of thing. Had a lot of cousins around. In the Caribbean, we grew up in multi-generational kind of households. My mom very supportive, etc. But I think I had to make a decision very early, maybe earlier than perhaps other children
Yeah.
would have had to make. And I said, okay, no, I this is I see myself very clearly standing in a profession, being able to give back. I didn't know what it was, but as
Mhm.
yet, I didn't know if I was the lawyer
Yeah.
thing as yet, but I saw myself, no, being able to say, this is what I think, this is right, this is, how I think we should move forward. Planning, organizing, all of those things, I've just, it's been a part of me for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And I just grew into it. And I think as well, because of my background, that fearless does come, where if we need to do something, we have to bite the bullet and get it done. And
And
it's not
lean
that I'm,
into it.
yeah, it's not I'm not afraid. Sometimes I'm quite afraid, but if we have to get it done, we have to get it done. And that's just kind of
Yeah.
how I put my head down to most things.
Okay. What brings you the most joy in your career? And it might be something current, it might be something in the past, but what brings you the most joy?
Um, Seeing people who have been able to get it,
Mm.
that switch has turned on in their mind, that they hold in their hands the ability to do what they want to do and be what they want to be. So it doesn't even have to be somebody like, no, I from previous organizations. I would meet people on the street or meet them in the mall after, and they would tell me where they are at, and they would tell me, it's because you asked me that question, or it's because you said this,
Right.
because you did that. I decided to make the choice, so I'm here now. Those
Yeah.
little moments, yeah, those are the moments I live for, in terms of, yes, I've been able to help someone get through what they want to do with themselves, what they want to do with their lives. So
Yeah.
it's not a no thing. It's a something that has been happening to me for, I guess, the time that I've been in HR for 2 decades. Um,
Mhm.
and I would see people from my very first job, and they would not pass me straight. They would just say, "Hey,
You
this is where
you
I am," and yeah, yeah. So that drives
you've
me.
you've
That drives me.
left an indelible mark.
I would say so on some people. Now, of course, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, right? We can't be everybody's cup
No,
of
we
tea.
can't.
No, we can't. But those who found me and I found them for whatever that moment in time, and they were able to just do better for themselves, for their
Yeah.
families. Yeah, 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 yeah. That hits it.
That and that is a real, I mean, for me, that's a legacy that you're
Yeah,
leaving,
yeah,
where I don't know if you've had the experience where you've had to have really difficult conversations with people, but because you leave them feeling whole, they still value what you've said to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Tons of conversations. In HR, you have to have disciplinary conversations. You have people conversations because they're having issues in their lives. Serious, tough issues. You
Mm.
have situations where you've had to bring person's employment to an end for more than one reason. And it's sitting with them in the conversation, being fair, especially if it's
Mm.
a disciplinary termination. It's about being fair to them, and letting them know that they are human. It's something that
Mhm.
happened and they are human in the process. And I guess just being empathetic, even if it's something that's difficult to do and difficult for them to hear, being empathetic towards it, being
Yeah.
straight about it.
Mm.
Not doing too much flowery stuff to try to dance around things, but being straight with them. I think that is often what is appreciated, in the way I would
Yeah.
deliver any type of difficult news or difficult conversation. Understand, but be straight, be fair, give the best advice that I can give, and understand that when this person leaves, let's just say it's end of employment situation, they have a family that they need to go and explain this to in some way, right? And
Yeah.
so how do you help the person, through it?
Navigate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things as women, and we know this as working mothers, finding that balance is difficult. What what have you done to find your balance?
um I could take that from two places. One, balancing motherhood and the of course the responsibility that you have, for two young lives in my case.
Hmm.
So balancing, ensuring that they are well taken care of, they have the right discipline so that they can get through life, making the right decisions around that, schooling, all those things. So there's that
Yeah.
kind of balance, and mommy's not too much at work and that kind of thing. um I think my balance may be a little different. Everybody's balance is different. And I think
Yeah.
that was important for me to accept. So maybe perhaps in society, we have this sense of everybody must have this balance in life.
Hmm.
Sometimes my balance shifted to work. I will tell you that. Sometimes it was
Hmm.
a 90-10 kind of situations, 50-50, whatever. It changed over
Hmm.
time. And I accepted that that is where I needed to be in the time. Was I a perfect mom? No, absolutely not. But I accepted that that's kind of what I needed to do to when I opened my eyes in 5 years from then, I was at the place where I wanted to be, for
Yeah.
me, for my family. So that balance came through just trying to put things in place at home. I made a decision to have someone that I trusted at home with the kids. And economically, that took a big bite out of what was being brought to the household. But
Yeah.
I did not wish to do the hustle with the daycare and the this and the that and the other.
Hmm.
So I made a sacrifice,
Yeah.
economically, so that that could happen.
Ensure they were taken care of. Yeah.
Correct, correct. So since I knew that at times I would shift to the 90-10, I said no,
Mm.
I can't do the that kind of craziness, and not have them have something safe and secure and regular kind of scenario. So that was a one way that I dealt with the balance or the imbalance
Yeah.
that could happen. The other way is that my husband as well, he is very much grounded in work like me.
Hmm.
Work is a part of our lives, and being there, and doing, I people say the routine, but being the everyday kind of scenario,
Yeah.
being reliable, and your organization can count on you as well. And he absolutely respected the times when I was at the 90, and I respected the
Right.
times when he was at the
He
90.
would, so
And
there
it
was give
was
and take.
correct. It was a true reciprocal kind of action. Never quarreled about you're not home, you're going to work again, it's a Sunday, da 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 da. I've never heard that from him, and he's never heard that from me. So that was an important part of being able to balance how I handled mom duties and things. From a personal perspective, in terms of balancing me, I
Yeah.
think that has come now.
Mm.
I am better able to balance now, to say no, I need a mental, emotional, physical, whatever break.
Break.
I
Yeah.
need to do this for me. I think in the past, the Tracy of 15, 20 years ago didn't understand the power of doing nothing. So I always felt that to be productive, I had to fill my time with something. I always have to be
Yeah.
productive. Now I understand the power of being not productive and
Still.
allowing your mind to just go, unwind, create in a space. So I do a lot of that more now. And of course, the
Yeah.
space is there because the kids are bigger. So they are now adults and they are off to their own lives. So I do have that space and time, and I also have the luxury of a husband that doesn't talk that much. So he knows in certain times, even if we
That
are,
silence is fine.
yeah, we are able to be silent with each other, and there's no real issue with that. So it's I can balance now. Now, of course, do I do it exactly every day? And no, I don't. But I've recognized that yes, it's okay, Tracy, to sit down and just be in your space, be quiet, enjoy nature. Da, da, da. It helps the mind. It helps balance who I
Yeah.
am.
That's really good advice though, because I think I heard you talk about, filling that space, and that's essentially how my mind works as well. If why would there be an hour in the day when you're doing absolutely
Doing
nothing? But
nothing.
yeah, yeah. But as we get older, yeah, you do value that. Sometimes for me, it's just driving in the car alone, and you get time just to, whether it's to listen to something or to
Yeah.
just hear your thoughts, hear yourself think, and kind of work through that. So, yeah, good advice. And
Yes.
I will say, Tracy, one of the other things that I really admire about you is you never age. Like, like you look the same as when I met you in 2012.
Yeah.
So, whatever you're doing is working really well.
That's Granny again. They say that's the Caribbean you. So
Um,
that's the true Trini blood in there that does that.
got you. I hear you. Well, it's working amazingly.
Great, great, great.
So, so my last question for you is just about if you had to, you talked about as when you were younger making a conscious decision that you had to do things differently for you. It was
Mm-hmm,
important to
mm-hmm.
get things right. If you could go back and tell that younger version of yourself anything, now that you've gone through
Mm-hmm.
20 years as a professional, 20 plus years as a professional, what would you say to young Tracy?
I would definitely let my young self know it's okay to breeze off. As
Mm,
we say in the Caribbean, take a breeze, right? Not have to fill every moment of every day with something that is super productive and unproductive. It's okay for your brain to just relax a lot more. So that I would definitely look at that. I would say though is stay strong, stay resilient in what you stay in your beliefs. It served you well,
Right.
It absolutely served you well. That part of me, I don't think I will ever give up. I will always be me. And one of the things people tell me, as you've said, you're looking the same. And the reason is, for example, I have never changed my hairstyle. This is me from primary school. This is me. I have always felt like super comfortable with this. And
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know, it's just this is who I am. So
Yeah.
I think I've stood in, as I said, stay in who you are. Be very proud
Yeah.
of who you are. Um, I've been able to do that, but definitely, yeah, take it, slow it down. It's okay. It's okay to not do everything every minute of the day. It's okay not to be occupied. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Tracy. Like I know that this is a real sacrifice on your part, taking the time to do this, but I really truly believe that there are the young people out there who will be encouraged that, it doesn't always have a straight path to
Oh no.
success.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
what you've shared, about your journey is going to help someone else, and I'm really appreciative of that.
Thank you as well. Thank you for the opportunity to do it. Of course, when you first asked me, I was like, but I am so happy that I did. I enjoyed the conversation, and yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, I was happy to let you know who I am and my experiences and my journey. Thank you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.